Hello everybody and welcome back to Cosplay Academy. I am your instructor TK. In today's lesson we're going to be talking about casting resin, and this particular one is the clear cast, which is generally used for making gems and jewels. Now this is supposed to dry clear whenever you first do it, so we're going to play around with it a little bit. And with it, we're going to take just a little bit of food coloring and put in it, because I haven't really seen anybody try it. You're not really supposed to use water-based solutions with it. Generally they make transparent or opaque pigment dyes to actually use with it, but I don't have access to that and wanted to try something, so we're going to try it with the food coloring and see what we get. So first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and pour some resin. Now be prepared, because you're probably going to make a mess. I usually do. And you can see what you have there. And the wonderful little bubbles and everything. So we'll start off by adding just 3. Then we get the food coloring all over us. 3 little drops, because I want to see what it does. Now, from the looks of it, so we can show you everything that we do, where this is a water-based solution, it does not want to take with the resin. Now, as a reminder, the points of these is to teach you some of the things that you're going to experience, and we're going to make the screw-ups for you so you don't have to later. And as you can see, it's broken up inside of it, so it's nothing but a bunch of little pieces. So what we'd actually want to do is use a dye, one of the pigments that they made specifically for this, but it's just curiosity killed the cat type situations, and we wanted to try it out and see what was going to happen. Now we know it sucks and you don't do that, but we don't want to waste the resin, so we're going to go ahead and cast it anyways, and we're going to see what we get. So just for the fun of it, we're going to add in 20 drops of the hardener for this amount, just because we can. So we're going to mix this up really good here. Mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it. Although it did give it a greenish hue to it. Now all of the mold pieces that we have, we went ahead and sprayed them down with our mold release, and we went ahead and sprayed all of them down with the mold release, 3 layers, sprayed it, let it dry, sprayed them, let it dry, sprayed them out every time we did it. But let's just see what we get now. Let's pour the first mold here. Gonna have some overflow, because we poured too much into it. Yeah, we still had a little bit left over from it, including this wonderful overflow that we have here. So let's just set that there, try to keep this from going all over the place. Which, much like with the rest of you watching this for the first time, I have never used resin before like this. Now, if you remember correctly, the silicone piece that we have here, the putty, we ended up puncturing a hole in it. So what we did is, before we did this, we used hot glue to seal the piece down to the parchment paper. That way, should anything happen with it, we have plenty of extra security on it. So hopefully we shouldn't leak out on the bottom any at all. But knowing our luck, we're going to. Major thing is, I'm just trying to prop this piece up a little bit because we are off center just a little bit. So all the liquid's kind of flowing to the side there. Now you're supposed to let these sit and cure for about 24 hours to 48 hours, depending on temperature. So we're going to go ahead and just let this go for now. And then we'll be back later and take a look at it and see what kind of progress we got. We're going ahead and give it 24 hours since we went ahead and poured them yesterday. And go ahead and show you this. This is actually the solution that we had left in the bottom of our cup. And it actually ate through the bottom of the cup. So when we pulled it off, it just kind of and it actually still has the labeling and the texture and everything from the inside of the cup. But it turned out pretty neat, actually. And then we had all of our pieces of overflow from it all. That was interesting, to say the least. Now, in terms of the molding, we can take our master mold out. You can see how this is. And we'll just take it. And let's see what we get. Let's peel around the edges. And voila. We get this lovely, pretty jewel, which I'm going to sit down here. Let's see. And it turned out really, really good in terms of that. It's still not fully done. It's still kind of tacky in spots, and you can touch the back of it and it'll leave your fingerprints on it. Which, what I figure I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to buff this later once it finishes curing all the way, because apparently it's not fully done just yet. Now let's peel off the one that we had hot glued down here, and you see it kept it from leaking out everywhere with it. Now, just like with the other one, let's pop it loose, and you see how fast that one came out. Definitely when using this, silicone seems to be the easiest one to demold from. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to fully see these or not, but like right here where it's got this little crease on it, it kept that little design in it. And you know, any imperfections that you have on your mold, it's going to keep it on there. Then you have your excess flange here. It just comes out to the sides. All in all, I mean, this is actually really interesting how this turned out. And I'll go back and try polishing and buffing these out and see how they come out later. I mean, this one actually feels more done than this one does. Well, that one went with that one, that one with that. So I mean, it definitely feels like it got more done with the silicone than it did with the latex. Now with our Gundam piece we have here, with it, we found that it actually drained out for the most part. So that's an issue. And not only that, it shrunk. So even though it had the lip up here, I mean the piece is way, way down there. But we're going to go ahead and try demolding what we got out of it. Just take it a little at a time. Yeah, we definitely got just a little bit off of this one. And it's tiny. Peel back here and peel the other one, and voila, we have our demolded piece to our Gundam. And this would have been a lot better if it would have gone ahead and took all of it and allowed it to come out. But you know, for all feats and purposes, this is actually really good. You actually can't tell hardly at all any of the spots that's inside of it, mostly because, like I said, it didn't really take with it anyways, and it's actually kind of spilled out, and it's really cloudy because of all the texturing and everything from the mold. All in all though, this has actually been a really interesting experience, learning something new. You can see the excess that we had that came off of that pour. See if we can get any of that off here. But this was a learning experience for us and for you. And I think what I'm going to do with this mold is I'm going to go ahead and finish letting it set the rest of the way over the next few days. And once this finishes setting the rest of the way, I'm going to go back and probably fill it with another clay or putty of some sorts. Let it go ahead and harden and use it for another project. But in a future episode, once these are completely done, I'll go back and buff them up, shine them up, and we'll cover that in a future lesson. This way we just got something new that we get to learn about also. Take that and just flip it over, because where this one had sank down also, it's created kind of like a little dip on the back of it. So I'm just going to sit it like that and just kind of let it go. I didn't actually expect it to kind of sink down the way that it did. It was very, very interesting. Now, with this one, you could tell, especially how thin it is, how it bends, that it's not fully cured yet, which means we probably would have gone ahead and let it set another day, another 24 hours, which is what I will do with these pieces. And then, like I said, in a future episode, I'll go back and I'm going to polish them up and buff them, and we'll see what we can do with the leftovers for it. But for today, we're going to go ahead and end this lesson. We're going to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and hit the like button so we know that you actually enjoy these videos. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you can be up to date with all the latest that we do here at Tri-State Otaku. And until next time, class dismissed.